Thanks, Joe. I'm here in the Boston Public Garden where you can see behind me the pond is mostly frozen. Boston is currently expecting the second winter storm this February, and we're expecting about 3 inches of snow to fall. I'll be talking to some people to see how they are getting ready for the storm.
Catalina Perez, and welcome to Emerson News. As the end of spring semester approaches, you may be wondering what Emerson events you can attend in the upcoming weeks. I'll be talking to Samantha Hogan, organizer of Emerson Main Events, about the EME Spring Fest happening on April 23rd from 1 to 4 p.m.
Thanks, Joe. I'm here at Tufts Medical Center where individuals can come in, get tested, and now get vaccinated for COVID-19. The state of Massachusetts now allows individuals over the age of 75 to get vaccinated. I'll be talking to some people on the street to see what they have to say about the vaccination process. Thank you, Cheryl. I'm here in the Boston Common where there's still about 4 inches of snow left on the ground from the last snowstorm that happened this past Monday, February 1st. As you can see behind me, it was a heavy snowfall. Boston Public Schools closed on February 2nd, and the start of flex classes at Emerson College was also postponed until Tuesday, February 2nd. About 14,000 people lost power due to the storm. Thankfully, we won't be seeing any more snow until this upcoming Sunday. I'm Catalina Perez from the Boston Common. Back to you.
A new fashion publication founded by the designers of the New York fashion brand Adif, the open source fashion cookbook, aims to provide tips and, quote, recipes, unquote, for living the best sustainable fashion life. The designers say the book hopes to, quote, enable all people, especially communities that cannot traditionally afford to shop from responsible brands, to participate in responsible consumption.
For more information on how to cast your vote, how to locate your polling site, and any other questions you may have about voting, please visit mass.gov. Hi everybody, I'm Catalina Perez and you're watching The Update Online. Between the national weather forecast, the upcoming election, and 80,000 furloughed workers from the bus industry, there is a lot to update you on. Located at 78 Arlington Avenue, Boston, Peruvian Taste brings you all your typical Peruvian dishes, from ceviche to lomo saltado to chifa, Peru's own fusion of Chinese and Peruvian food. Peruvian Taste is open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You only need to step in to be immediately immersed in Peruvian culture. Let's take a look inside. Thanks for watching this special report on Chinese culture in Chinatown. I'm Catalina Perez. Have a great night. The COVID-19 pandemic resulted in a wave of anti-Asian sentiment across the world. Asian discrimination is still heavily present in Boston and seeping into higher education institutions. More than 2,100 anti-Asian American hate incidents related to COVID-19 were reported across the country over a 3-month time span between March and June 2020.
I've certainly noticed an increase. I think that there's, on the Emerson campus at least, there's been some anti-Asian sentiment from certain clubs, and I'm not a fan of that at all.
Kasich is referring to an incident that happened right behind him on September 29, 2021, where several Turning Point USA members of the Emerson chapter passed out stickers featuring a hammer and sickle with the caption, quote, China kinda sus, unquote, slang for, quote, suspicious. Kasich was actually present when the stickers were handed out and tried to intervene, but nothing seemed to work.
I've got Asian friends on campus, and it makes me sick to think that they're not feeling safe.
Emerson College student Maria Wu says sometimes she's been asked questions that make her feel awkward, uncomfortable, and sometimes even question her own identity.
It's usually the question of like, where are you from? And since I'm from Louisiana, I'll usually tell them like I'm from Louisiana, but then they'll be like, well, where are you really from? Or like, no, that's not what I meant. And by that, they just really mean my ethnicity, but it's the way that they word it that it really makes you feel like an outsider.
This is a reflection of what many other Asians and Asian Americans are experiencing in different communities across the United States.
Well, specifically, like just walking through Chinatown and looking at the way that certain customers treat restaurant workers and restaurant owners, it's definitely like increased in the past year.
For Linda Zhou, this hits closer to home.
My mom has been robbed during COVID. In terms of her business, her store and her business has been burglarized and vandalized by people. My mom doesn't really tell me too much about it because she knows that it makes me worry. But from the details that I know, at least like the little details that I know from my dad and my other relatives, is that they would cuss her out and just say all these terrible things and just rob her for just no apparent reason.
Both Maria and Linda have stated that they have felt safer during their time at Emerson College than at Louisiana and Colorado, respectively. Organizations that work to support Asian communities in the U.S. include Stop AAPI Hate and Asian Pacific Environmental Network. Individuals can also donate to groups such as the Asian Mental Health Collective.
From Boston, I'm Catalina Perez Arminan.
For more than a month, more than 800 students and teachers at Quincy Elementary School have been doing something they wanted to do for more than a year and a half. They're back in the classroom every day. COVID-19 had them home since March 2020. Not anymore. Andre Camilli is happy that his son can finally attend classes in person again.
The in-person social interaction for kids is important as they grow, so they need that.
Mary Holber says her daughters are glad to be back in the classroom, but it hasn't been easy.
They were very excited about it, but it has been hard to get back into the routine. Get out the door at a certain time, get on the bus, catch the bus.
However, some Massachusetts schools are facing problems that have a few parents concerned. Anna Whitworth's son attends middle school in Stoughton, Massachusetts. He first followed the remote model in spring 2020 and then the hybrid model. Whitworth says she was very happy with the hybrid model. It kept parents informed about positive COVID cases and contacting the school. But now, his son has returned to all in-person classes and it seems some things have changed.
To my surprise, it is completely different now. It feels a lot more chaotic, and it feels like ever since we all vaccinated and unmasked ourselves, it seems like everyone just kind of forgot what's happening out there still, that the kids are not vaccinated.
Whitworth doesn't want to see any children at the school get sick.
Even though most of them do seem like they cope with the disease a lot better, it's still not something that many families would want to experience.
A big part of Whitworth's concern arises from the lack of communication she's receiving from the school.
It seems like the board of parents and trustees voted that it will be all confidential now.
The school does require guidelines such as a strict quarantine policy and a pediatrician's note confirming they do not have COVID-19 from every student that has contact with someone infected. The school also requires students to be absent when they experience any symptoms, but Whitworth says not all parents follow these rules.
And even though I feel like, okay, well, I'm doing all those things and they're not, they may be sending their kids with COVID.
Whitworth says it's discouraging to see other parents still send their children to school when they feel sick, regardless of the school guidelines.
My kid has a cold. If your kid has a cold, don't send them to school because it defeats the whole purpose.
The Boston Public Schools website states there have been a total of 160 cases of COVID-19 since the September start of the 2021 school year. 106 of these cases were reported in students and 54 in staff.
From Boston, I'm Catalina Perez Arminan.
Amidst the pandemic, the MBTA has made significant cuts to transportation services. Fenway's bus number 55 was one of the routes canceled, pushing residents and MBTA union workers to protest. Catalina has the story.
Here at the Queensbury and Jersey Street MBTA bus stop, where commuters get together every Sunday at 5:30 p.m. to protest against the 20% service reduction that the MBTA has placed.
We've had this route over 50 years, and it's been taken away, and it's a very active neighborhood, has people of many different backgrounds, and the fact too is that we have many seniors that live in the neighborhood.
That was Charles Artell, a resident that uses bus number 55 and says that he will continue coming out every weekend until it is restored. Bill Peredino, Vice President of the Boston Common Union number 589, shared how he feels about the cuts.
The cuts were unnecessary. This is a very popular route with the neighborhood, and just to rip it away from them, there's no need.
Scott Page, delegate for Light Rail Boston Commons Union number 589, shares similar thoughts.
Whenever the T decides that they want to cut a service or stop running a service, that's personal to me. It's not only for the people that we represent, but it's for the communities we serve.
But it looks like that protesting is making an impact. Director of Operations for Council Member Kenzie Bach, Henry Santana, was also at the protest.
We want to make sure to come out here and just let the MBTA know that this is an essential service for our residents.
Mayoral candidate Michelle Wu also made an appearance at the protest to show support and make a statement.
This is one of the most short-sighted decisions a T could be making right now. We're in a time when we need to be making it easier for people to go out and get vaccinated, to start going back to work, to get our economy back up and running.
The MBTA mentioned in a meeting that there is now priority on bringing back services.
I'm Catalina Perez de Arminan. Back to you.
Thanks, Catalina. I'm Alexia Brown.